to a great start. But before we start, just a few words about the Nigunim that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing special Nigunim for Chai Elul, which is the birthday of the Alter Rebbe, and it's also the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov. So there's a few Nigunim that the Baal Shem Tov composed, a few Nigunim that the Alter Rebbe that we know for sure that he composed, some we're not sure. So, but there's definitely 10 Nigunim that are miyuchas to Alter Rebbe. We're going to go through a few of them, hopefully, as Shem tonight. And we're going to do a few other Nigunim. We're going to see how the night progresses. For now, I'd like to call Rabbi Yazevich. He's the MC for tonight. And we would like to thank everybody here, first of all, for coming, and Rabbi Yazevich for putting so much time and effort into making this happen. And most of all, to Avraham Rotvan, that put so much kaiches, night and day, phone calls, text, and WhatsApp. Thank you. And we would like to thank everybody also that's watching us live. Please feel like you're actually here in the hall because we feel you. So, without any further ado, Rabbi Yazevich. 2 minutes. Okay. He's gonna come up here. Yeah, we just have to ask him again nicely. Thank you. Ready? Sit down.
I was asked to talk a little bit about the koyach of Nigunim. I want to share a story. Very powerful story I heard from my mashpia, Reb Shabtai Slavatitzky. Maybe you heard of him. There was once a Yid, a Baal Tshuva. He came from, and through, I guess, shluchim, but he was in close contact with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe guided him. At some point, like all of us, he had, better times and even better times. And with all the ups and downs, at some point he decided that it seems like it's not for him. He believes he's done Eibishter, believes in Torah mitzvahs, but the struggles he's going through, it seems like his body and his destiny weren't built for this journey. And out of courtesy, the Rebbe invested so much time in making him a Baal Tshuva and guiding him. He came to get what we call Birkas Preda, to come to the Rebbe and tell the Rebbe that he appreciates the time the Rebbe dedicated to him. But Bepoil, it doesn't seem to be what he's going to be continuing with. And basically he came to say goodbye to the Rebbe. He's in Yechidus, and the Rebbe Kilu diverts the subject, and the Rebbe digresses, and the Rebbe says, what do you appreciate? So he said he appreciates art. Comes to mind. I'm looking around here. And the Rebbe said, is there a specific piece that you appreciate, more than others? So he said there is this tremendous piece of artwork by Michelangelo, a very, very ancient piece of art. It's called Hashkiah. It's called the sun setting, and it's like this beautiful, beautiful painting that whenever he thinks of it, envisions it, it really takes him to a whole new level. He's really inspired. And so the Rebbe, and he describes to the Rebbe, he mamish goes in, he starts describing to the Rebbe that it's this painting of older couple walking with a cane, a little hunched, and children playing in sand castles right by a seashore, and the older couple's walking behind the children, and you see behind them the sun setting, and in his mind it's like it captures the whole continuum of life. Like he really is inspired, the whole picture. And he's being marchiv, he's describing this to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe's listening to his whole vision. And the Rebbe says to him, how much does this painting cost? So he says to the Rebbe, this has just been sold by this huge trade. Sotheby's, they sell ancient artifacts. And it's sold for tens of millions. In those days, tens of millions. And so the Rebbe asks him, I have a question for you. And I think this is the story is extremely powerful. B'chlal and B'frat, we're now erev Chai Elul. We're making hachanas for Chai Elul. And we want to come to the day that Mazalei Goyrev, the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov in the most powerful way. And in a real way to capture what they teach us with Nigunim. So the Rebbe asks him the following question. The Rebbe asks him, say a photographer came by in the same time that Michelangelo was sitting and drawing this painting and took a picture of the same view. Which one would be more real, accurate? Which one will be more accurate? So he says, what's the shaila? For sure, if the camera captures better, what's the shaila? So the Rebbe asks him, and how much does the picture cost? The picture once it's taken. So he says, look, I don't know if he said this or he was thinking, if it hit it big, it was a good picture, so it'll hit a postcard. It'll get $2 for it. I'm saying, what's going to get to? So the Rebbe says to him, where's the tzedek? Who's Yosher? This picture that you say you agree yourself is imperfect went for 50 million. And this picture that captured it all with all the details to the point. And this one is $2. Who stimmt es? So the Rebbe explained to him. The Rebbe said the following. This is extremely powerful for us to internalize when we approach an evening of Nigunim. The reason we pay that amount for art is because every stroke with a paintbrush could have been different, and that's why it's much more valuable. A picture taken with a camera is like the avodas hamalachim. It's picture perfect, it'll never go wrong, and its value ranks at $2. This is my words. But when you're talking about a painting that every stroke could have gone wrong and could have gone different, and he placed it where he placed it, and he went back and took, a different mixture of paint and a different combination and placed it again. This is what makes the painting valuable. And when we sit down for an evening Nigunim, the derech of the Baal Shem Tov and the derech Chassidus that the Alter Rebbe teaches us, the power of the Nigunim, Befrat Nigunim Chabad, which were composed by Chassidim that put their heart and mind into a niggun. They put their heart and mind into their avodas atfilah, and it produced these beautiful nigunim. Those are paintings, and we have to go through those paintings ourselves. There's a very powerful Meimer the Rebbe Rashab says that it says in Gemara that when a person learns a Meimer of Chazal, Yira Baal Ashmo Oimid Lenegdoi. When a person sings a niggin of Rabbi Seinu Nesienu, the Baal HaShmua is there. And what the Baal HaShmua, what Rabbi Seinu Nesienu, what the Chassidim that compose Nigunim represent is our imperfect life, every stroke, one at a time. And when we sing the Nigunim together today, it's not a performance, it's a Farbrengen. We're all experiencing these Nigunim together. We are all painting our picture and putting ourselves on a plateau on which this Chai Elul, taking the Chayas from Elul and greeting the king in the field, will be on a whole new level that when we will be able to meet in Heichal Malchusa. Fitcha. Chaim. Why now? Before you get an opening. Is that good? Sure.
So we're going to start off with Avinu Malkeinu, and for this we're going to call the one and only Avi Piamenta. Put your hands together for Avi. It wasn't easy to recruit him for tonight, Baruch Shem. We wish him all the best. He should have a Ksila Simateva, going back to Eretz Yisrael, Eretz HaKdesha. So we're lucky to have him here tonight. Avinu Malkeinu is a nigun, obviously, to the Alter Rebbe. And for many years, the Chassidim, we sing it every time we sing Avinu Malkeinu, we sing it in this tune. Okay, so you ready to start? So some Nigunim, we're actually not sure if the Alter Rebbe composed it or not. This is one of them that we know that it was sung in the time of the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe had it sung in his shul with his minion. So that's why it's miyuchas, the yichus of this nigun goes to the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah.
Okay, so just. Okay, so the rabbi here, Rabbi Yuzevich, just confirmed it was actually composed by the Alter Rebbe. we have these wonderful kids, the choir from Darchi Menachem. Oh, sorry. Choir of Or Menachem.
The Niggun Keliata, which we're going to hear from the choir, is a niggun that the Alter Rebbe not only sang and appreciated in the Haggadah Shel Pesach, it's brought as the niggun that we sing when we pour back the Koy Shel Eliyahu. And what's extremely significant about it is the Frierdiker Rebbe writes that this niggun is mesugal to Gilui Eliyahu Hanavi. So what this, in addition, the Rebbe, every year when the Rebbe would take Maim Shalanu, they would sing this niggun in the time of Shep and the Vaser for the Matzis, the Emunah. And Gilui Eliyahu to us is Gilui Chassidus. When we learn Chassidus, obviously there's levels, but learning Chassidus, we internalize this Gilui Keliata.
the niggin of the Baal Shem. Please sing along. For Or Menachem Choir. Thank you so much. This was really a big treat for us. What a surprise. Next niggin is a very special niggin. Chassidim sing it every Shalosh Shuddis. Also from the Nigunim of the Alter Rebbe. B'nei Heichola, yes. We're about to start. Yeah. Hold on a second. The next niggin that we're going to play is that we're going to sing together. Please join along. I see Hilda's done a great job. Keep it up. It's really important to sing the nigunim. In general, there are nigunim that Chassidim composed, and there are nigunim that the Rebbeim composed. There's also other songs that other Jewish people composed. There's many different levels in nigunim, and the nigunim that a regular Chassid composed, even though those days they weren't regular Chassidim, they were very heichah Chassidim, but they composed it according to the avodah that they had going on in their struggles and their davening and all they had going on in their avodah. When a Rebbe makes a niggin, it's like milamayla lamata. It comes from a Rebbe in order to be able to fix whatever needs to be fixed, either in a chassid or in the world in general, or to be poil something, to be able to create something that wasn't there before. So that's why the nigunim of the Rebbeim is really, really special. Besides the fact that every niggin of every Rebbe has a very strong connection, like Rabbi Yezevich said before, to the Rebbe that it's miyuchas to that Rebbe. That's why, for example, on special occasions, like by a wedding or different times, we sing all the Rebbeim's nigunim in order to actually invite every Rebbe. Every nigun that we sing from that Rebbe brings the Rebbe down here, and that's, if you watch the videos of the Rebbe, for us that we could just watch the videos, but those that were there, they were able to see the Rebbe's expression by every one of the Rebbeim's nigunim. It was something out of this world. It's something. You say that when you say Tzir Pnei Harav, there's something very special to vision the face of the Rebbe. There's something very special to vision the face of the Rebbe when the Rebbe is singing Napoleon's March, in the chayis that the Rebbe had, or the Rebbe by Hakafist, very, very, very special times, but there's also something very special in Tzir Pnei Harav, when the Rebbe, for example, used to sing the nigun of the Frierdiker Rebbe. There's something you can't describe in words. The way the Rebbe's face was, and when we think about Tzir Pnei Harav, we're supposed to go to that as well. We're supposed to have that in mind. Very good. Come here, say that. Here. Take this one.
I'd also like to mention, the Alter Rebbe also said, as I quote from the Rebbe's Nigunim, volume 1st, if the Alter Rebbe said, if music is the word from the heart, then music is the pen from the neshama.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
There's some Lechaim in the back. You can go say Lechaim and join in.
Okay, here we go. Kol Deidi. Wow. As much
Wow.
as I heard these musicians before, every time I'm really, really touched. Amazing job for Avi. And this is Meir Valner, also from Israel. Meir Ke, he's called. And in
Also,
Israel, they're very
you
good
give the feeling to be
Thank you.
attached.
Thank you.
Really, really special. Shkoyach. We will now have a very, very special opportunity to hear from a Yid. Actually, if I could just read something about the Nigun they just sang by way of introduction to the next stage, the next, I guess, burst of inspiration to take us through the continuation of the Nigunim. The Friedrich Rebbe of Farbrengen, Simchas Torah Tafshreish Pei Tes, said about this Nigun called Doidi Doifek. The Friedrich Rebbe said the following. Friedrich Rebbe said, the Alter Rebbe skarbet ois und nehmt arab sirches von Chassidim. The Friedrich Rebbe with this Nigun of Kol Doidi Doifek is like a menaker. Those who know Shchita take out the sirches, parts that may be in the reya, the lungs of the behemoth may have dildul, and the Alter Rebbe digs through a chassid, through this nigun, and separates anything that could passel. And the Friedrich Rebbe says this either by a nigun or by a maimer. We have with us very, very, very special chassid, Rebbe Tzion Krasniansky, known for his very, very special and famous Tanya classes from tanyaclass.com. Extremely the shliach of the Rebbe in the Upper East Side, which the Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe's Werter, which is the Baal Simcha and the Mazalei Goiver of tomorrow evening, is Chader Boy, and he's going to pass it on to us. So through the Nigunim and Chassidus, we're raising ourselves above. Rabbi Krasniansky.
Good erev Yom Tov. Thank you for the mi'arganim, the beautiful Nigunim. So, the Baal Shem Tov's 47th birthday, the Baal Shem Tov made a suda for his Yom Haledes with his Chassidim, and he was very besimcha. He said that today, a very helik in the Neshama, I guess this was the Baal Shem Tov's birthday present. A very helik in the Neshama came to this world. 3 years later, the Baal Shem Tov's 50th birthday was the first and last time that the Baal Shem Tov met the Alter Rebbe. For the Alter Rebbe's Absherenish, his parents, Baruch and Rivka got permission from the Baal Shem Tov to come and not to tell him anything about the Baal Shem Tov, and the Alter Rebbe kept on asking, and he says, "Wo geht man? Wer ist das?" And he said, "Me fahrt zu der Zayde. We're going to the Zayde." And ever since then, the Alter Rebbe referred to the Baal Shem Tov later on, and became a chassid, as Zayde. As he told Baruch Mezherbuzer, he says, "You are a Zayde. You're an Einikel. You're a physical Einikel. But I am the true Einikel." So much so that the children of the Alter Rebbe would refer to the Baal Shem Tov as the Elter Zayde. And the second time the Alter Rebbe was in prison, it was much more difficult than the first time. They asked him very, very tough questions. And he could have easily gotten out of it and said, "What do you want from me? I'm not a chassid. I mean, I never met the Baal Shem Tov really. I'm not his Talmud. Go to Baruch of Mezherbuz." But the Alter Rebbe didn't want to separate himself even one iota from the Baal Shem Tov, and he was ready to be Moshe Nefesh. And we see that in the Tanya. Every part of the Tanya, starting with the first chelik, Sefer Shel Beinim. What was the hero? Who was the hero of the Baal Shem Tov? The whole revolution of the Baal Shem Tov was the advantage of the Pashat Yid, the simple Yid. So everyone until the Alter Rebbe wrote a Sefer for Tzaddikim. The Alter Rebbe was the first one to write a Sefer Shel Beinim. He's writing a Sefer. The hero of the Alter Rebbe was the simple Yid, the 99.9% of Yidden who can never be Tzaddikim. The second part of Tanya, Shari Yichud Ve'emunah, he starts out, Upirush Baal Shem Tov. The whole Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov, Hashem Echad, Achdus Hashem. The third part of Tanya, Geras HaTshuva. Again, the whole Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov, that Tshuva is not associated with fasting and inflicting pain on yourself, but Tshuva through Simcha. The fourth part of the Tanya, the Geras HaKodesh, half of the Geras HaKodesh talks about tzedakah. So both the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe said and wrote that even though the Gemara says a person should not give more than 20% of your income to tzedakah, but when it comes to tzedakah, you can give everything you have to tzedakah. And right before the Stalkus of the Baal Shem Tov said that really he can go to Shemayim just like Eliyahu Hanavi. But he didn't have to go through the whole experience of Misa, of death, but he wants to fulfill the pasuk in the Torah, they'll offer Tashuv, and that's why he's going to go through that experience. What's the last thing the Alter Rebbe wrote, the most powerful Igeres HaKodesh Chaf, a few days before he passed away? The whole Igeres talks about the advantage of Offer, how Offer is superior, Offer, earth, the lowest, is superior, is rooted in the essence of Hashem. So as Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchev said, he said about himself and the Alter Rebbe, he says, all of us ate. We all ate kasher. We all ate from the same pot. But the Alter Rebbe took the vercheshke. He took the fat. He took the essence. Where do you see that? That Alter Rebbe took the essence of the Baal Shem Tov. So we all know, and everyone knows, the Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov, the idea of a pintle yid, that every yid deep down has a neshama, and every yid deep down has a munah pshuta. And that you'll find in every chassidus. But the Baal Shem Tov said a lot more than that. It was much deeper than that. Baal Shem Tov's revolution, the Baal Shem Tov's chiddush was, he said on the pasuk in Tehillim, in Hoidul Hashem Ki Tov, capital 107, which we say every erev Shabbos for Mincha, Re'evim gam tzemeim nafshem bem tisatef. When a yid is hungry, we're hungry. So you think you're hungry because you're pashat hungry. The body is hungry. You're hungry and you're craving something physical. But the emes is, what are you really hungry for? Nafshem bem tisatef. What you're really hungry for is you're hungry for the nitzitz eliki. Your bodily craving is really a getliche craving. Or in other words, why is it that man, we are the only ones in the universe that have insatiable appetites, insatiable cravings and appetites? Not malachim and not animals. Animals don't have insatiable appetites. You ever met an animal that overeats or overdoses? They hang around people. Only human beings suffer from addictions and cravings. And why is it? So the Baal Shem Tov is telling us, you know why? Not because man is so coarse and crass and hopeless. On the contrary. Because we sense the essence of the Eibishter. It's not only infinite, but it's undefined. Therefore, we crave for something that's completely infinite and undefined. And of course, something gets lost in the translation. So we think we're craving for something material, for something. But all the money, power, and fame in the world could never begin to satisfy what we're really hungering for, what we're really craving for. What we're really, truly craving for is Getlichkeit, is the Eibishter. That's the bodily craving. As the Baal Shem Tov said, why does a Yid shakel in davening? So in Shulchan Aruch it says, why does a Yid shakel in davening? Which is very unique to Yidden, by the way. There are 8 billion people in this world. Nobody shakels. If a guy walks into a shul, it's a very astonishing, strange sight that people are shakeling like a lulav. People come to a house of prayer, everyone sits with reverence, you sit quietly with your eyes closed. And Yidden are shuckling away. Why? So in Shulchan Aruch it says, because Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam, the neshama of a Yid is a neshama, it's like a Ner flickers, a Ner is moving. A Ner, a candle, you're yearning, you're jumping up and down, the fire is jumping up and down, it's trying to go up. Comes along the Baal Shem Tov and gives another reason, a much deeper reason. Which is the reason a Yid shuckles. He says because when a Yid is davening, it's like a Yid is being intimate with the Ebershter. We're married to the Ebershter, and therefore your body physically shakes, physically shuckles. And this we see by the Alter Rebbe. This revolution of the Baal Shem Tov, the ultimate revolution, this we see Alter Rebbe. Alter Rebbe asks in Lekutei Torah, Parshat V'eschana, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Why does he say Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem? Should have said Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Echad. But 3 times Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem. So Alter Rebbe explains, Hashem Echad is, as Rashi says, what's a simple pshat of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad? By the way, you ask most Yidden, most yeshiva, most people who say Shema twice a day, 3 times a day, 4 times a day, they have no clue what the pshat of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Rashi gives one prat, Rashi. The pshat shel mikra, the foundation, the fundamental, the simplest, truest prat of Shema Yisrael is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Ata Yi Hashem Echad. Now Yidden accept Hashem, Mashiach will come, Hashem will be Hashem Echad. And the whole world will accept the Ebershter. V'haya b'yem hahu yi Hashem echad or Shema echad. In other words, when Mashiach will come, then Hashem echad, Hashem will be universal. So Hashem echad is something that relates to the whole world. But Hashem Elokeinu, only a Yid can say Hashem Elokeinu. In simple words, it's the most astonishing thing. We are the only one in the entire universe who can say Elokeinu, that the Ebershter is my God. A Malach can't say it, a Goy Lahavdil can't say it. The Ebershter says, I am Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. The Ebershter doesn't say that about anyone or anything. God is Jewish. Hashem Elokeinu. So Alter Rebbe asks, this is the end of Lekutei Torah, the end of Nitzavim. He says, why is it from all the names of the Ebershter, only Elokim do we say Elokeinu, not the other Shemus? And he answers, and in the Agah, I guess from the Tzemach Tzedek, he says that Alter Rebbe asked this question and gave this answer right before his Istalkus. And he said, I think it's the only place in Torah and Lekutei Torah, Alter Rebbe, where it says, Alter Rebbe had this shaila. He says it's an eisner shaila. And he had the answer in a dream. He got the answer in a cholam. What's the answer? He says, Elokim is Tzimtzum. So Hashem Elokeinu, the Ebershter, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, Hashem Elokeinu, the Ebershter could become Elokeinu, personal, our Elokeinu. So only the Shem Elokim could the Ebershter be mitzamtzim and it becomes Elokeinu. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That the Ebershter is personal, it's our God, Elokeinu. V'haftas Hashem Elokecha, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak. What does that mean? So in Tanyim, Pedek Chai, Yud Ches, the Alter Rebbe starts explaining how that Yiddishkeit is something that's very close and very dear and near to every single Yid. And what does he explain? He says, we see something astonishing. That even a Yid is a kal shebekal, the most coarse, crass, the biggest grub jung in the world. And nothing penetrates. He can't break away from his cravings to material things. The moment, in a moment of truth, the moment he's tested, are you going to disconnect yourself from the Eibishter? Are you going to bow down or not going to bow down? A Yid without even thinking, without it, it's unquestioning. A Yid was ready to give up his life. For decades, he's totally immersed in the physical world. He can't break away from the material, from the coarseness and crassness of this world. And here, in one split second, it all melts away. And he's ready to die for the Eibishter. He's ready to give up everything, his whole life. All of his gashmis, everything. And then, Alter Rebbe points out, if you think about it, it makes absolutely no sense. Why is a Yid ready to give up his life, not to bow down to Avodah Zarah? Why? Is that really Avodah Zarah? When the Goy holds a gun to your head and forces you to bow down to Avodah Zarah, is that really Avodah Zarah? It's not really Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah means you believe in it. The Goy who's holding a gun to your head knows you despise him. You despise his Avodah Zarah. You want to live, so you'll bow down. It's meaningless. It's completely insignificant. Why would a Yid throw his life away? Not to bow down to Avodah Zarah. But because a Yid is married to the Eibishter, not just our neshama, the pintele Yid, but even our body, the physical. Because the Yid is so connected to the Eibishter, that even something so external and so superficial, like just bowing down for a second, it's a meaningless act. It means absolutely nothing. It signifies absolutely nothing. A Yid cannot be disconnected from the Eibishter even for a split second, even if it's externally superficial, for a split second. That's what it means, Hashem Elokeinu. V'yahavtos Hashem Elokecha, and that's why b'chol nafshecha, afilu neiteles nafshecha, you're ready to give up your life for the Eibishter. And this, of course, was a theme song, the Rebbe's theme song. Nos tchilasam b'seifon, Rishin, Shvi, Shvi l'Rishin. What's the Rebbe's theme song? Ata b'chartonu mikol ha'am. As Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, what are we talking about here? Ata b'chartonu, we're not talking about the neshama of a Yid. We're talking about the guf of a Yid. Guf of the Lohin Kadisha. Not only the neshama of a Yid is heilig, the guf of a Yid is heilig. And this we saw by the Rebbe. V'haftas Hashem Elokecha b'chol levav b'chol nafshecha b'chol meidecha. What does the Mishnah say in Brachas? What does b'chol meidecha mean? B'chol mamoncha, with all your money. Why is money? First you said giving up your life, and here, after giving up your life, your money. Ma'odcha means there's no limit. Ma'od. Like kadav ilecha dava ma'od. Money, as the Lechaim Art points out, money is unique. The taiva of money is unique. Every other physical taiva in this world, there reaches a point where you have a satisfaction. You ate well, you're satisfied for a moment. Money, there's no satisfaction. Oyev kesef, lo yispa kesef. Mi sheyesh le'mana, reitz a Messiah. You have 100, you want 200. 200, you want 400. It's insatiable. And this seems to be something totally negative. Because you're so greedy. Someone who wants money is so greedy that it consumes your life. You just can't stop. You don't even rest for a second. You don't stop for a moment. The goal keeps on moving up. You have 1 million, now you want 2 million, then you want 10 million. It's never ending. You don't have a life. So usually we know, when it comes to Kedusha, we have a concept of Mailim B'Kodesh. You always have to go up. You have to, Chanukah, you add a candle every night. You learn 100 times, learn 101 times, add one. Take a step forward. Mailim by Kodesh. But what the Rebbe did was, the Rebbe took this whole concept of Mishi Yesh Limana Reitza Messiah, and he turned it into something positive. The Rebbe didn't want to suffer, just add something. You have 100. Do twice as much, double, 200. You did 200. Next time, 400. Because this craving, this insatiable craving, which everyone associates with the body and the goof and the materialism and coarseness and crassness, the emes is, where does this come from? B'chol ma'odecha, where does it come from? It comes from the ma'od. It comes from the ma'od, from the essence of the Eibishter. So the whole point of Chassidus, the whole point of Emesai Kasi Mar, Yifutzum, Einesecha Chutza, to bring Mashiach, but not Mashiach for the neshama. A Yid needs Mashiach physically. We need a material, a physical Geula. Beis HaMikdash, Hashlishi, Gula, Amitis Vashlema. As we say every morning in davening, the introduction to davening, Loilam, Yodam Yereshmayim Baseser. So we say, Ashreinu Matoiv Chalkeinu, Manoyim Gerolenu, Mayofa Yerushaseinu, Ashreinu Matoiv Chalkeinu, that we're Yidden, Manoyim Gerolenu, we're Chassidim, Mayofa Yerushaseinu, that we're Chabad Chassidim, and we say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. And that's why we ask the Eibishter, Baruch HaMakadesh Shmoi Barabim, that just like a Yid is ready to physically sacrifice ourselves, our body for the Eibishter, Yiddishkeit, what matters most is the mitzvah, the physical, doing the mitzvah, not just your neshama. Most importantly is that your body, your physical, should connect with the Eibishter through Ramach mitzvahs aseh, Ramach evarim. So we ask the Eibishter also that he, just like a Yid is Moisen Nefesh, we are ready to be Mekadesh Hashem. What's the ultimate Kiddush Hashem? Which is a greater Kiddush Hashem? When a Yid dies for the Eibishter? Or when the Eibishter saves the Yid, like Hananiah, Mishael, Vazariah? The Eibishter makes a Kiddush Hashem, he publicizes his Mekadesh, Shmoi Barabim, and he makes the ultimate Kiddush Hashem, and he saves the Yid. So we ask the Eibishter, since Hashem Elokeinu, it's a two-way street. We are married to the Eibishter. Our connection to the Eibishter is not limited. Our neshama, our connection to the Eibishter is physical. We're Mekayim, Ramach Evarim, Ramach Mitzvahs Aseh. We live a Yiddish life. We act Jewish. We think Jewish. We speak Jewish. So we ask the Eibishter, Baruch HaMakadosh Shmoi Barabim. The Eibishter should make the ultimate Kiddush Hashem and bring the Geula, and this Chai Elul will be reunited with the Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe will hear Tanya from the Alter Rebbe himself, and with the Baal Shem Tov, a good erev Yontif.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Krasniansky.
When Reb Fitch asked me to give a Akdama to the Alter Rebbe's Nigun, I want to say my job as a MC is to invite people. In the Alter Rebbe's Nigun, you should know that that the Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe says, we sing this Nigun. You know, let me quote what the Rebbe Rashab and the Rebbe Marash said about the time when this Nigun is sung. Obviously, we sing it at a chasna. All of us here that are married got married with this nigun. We all know, as Reb Fitcha quoted earlier, we see how the Rebbe gets to this nigun. And if you haven't noticed, you should. Every single time the Rebbe sings via Farbrengen of the Rebbe, they sang the Dalit Bavis, all of a sudden you see the Rebbe start fidgeting. You see it. The Rebbe starts choking, the Rebbe opens the tie. The Rebbe is Kilu having a problem breathing. The Alter Rebbe's Nigun is inviting the Alter Rebbe, and we don't just say Shalom Aleichem. There's a Achana Nigun, and as there was someone that asked the Alter Rebbe, Amol, the Alter Rebbe davens for 4 hours, the Alter Rebbe davened for many hours. And someone else told the Alter Rebbe, I also think Kavanas Arizal. Okay, this is Negea to us. I also think Kavanas Arizal. Why does it take the Alter Rebbe so long? So the Alter Rebbe asked him, what do you do for a living? So he said, I'm a Soicher, I go to Leipzig. So the Alter Rebbe said, how long does it take? He tells him he goes here, he stops in this inn, he collects his money, he borrows the money, and he gets to Leipzig. It's a project of 6 months, and then he has to live. The Alter asked, why don't you sit in your house and think about the whole, think about going here and going there and buying and coming back. You'll do it much quicker in an hour or two. So he says, Alter Rebbe, I can't live from Machshavas. So the Alter Rebbe said, when you think Kavanas Arizal, you're thinking, I'm going there. We are going with the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe's Nigun is not just a Nigun we sing that's miyuchas to the Alter Rebbe. If we don't sing it like the Rebbe Marash said, only on Chodesh Elul and only on Purim and specific Yamim Tovim, we're in Chodesh Elul, we're erev Chai Elul. The Alter Rebbe's Nigun is a journey we're taking together, and we're lucky to have these Chassidim leading us.
I just want to mention something, that Chai Elul has an additional special thing for me. It's not only the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, also it's my father's birthday. You can press it.
Yeah.
We'd also like to thank you too for sitting here. Really, doing a great job here.
Thank you.
So it wasn't written that way.
The evening is coming to the next stage. It's not another part, it's the step up. We know the Rebbe teaches us that tshuva, in our generation, we start from tshuva me'ava, tshuva metoich simcha, and we know that one of the inyanim of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe and the Yesodis of Chassidus is simcha. Simcha comes on the bedrock of belief in the Eibishter, and not only believing there is an Eibishter, but experiencing the Eibishter Hashgacha Pratis every moment, hence Simcha. As an introduction to the next stage of the evening, we have with us a very, very special younger man, a tremendous bar poil in our shchuna, and a big Baal Simcha, and brings Simcha not only to himself but to others as well, Rabbi Yisrael Klapman. That's all right.
Put the stage
Exercise.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to give a special thank you to all those that made it out here tonight. Many of the schools in Crown Heights started today, and many children in Crown Heights just got back from sleepaway camp. I'm talking about myself included. One kid got back from camp yesterday, another one started yeshiva today. So it's been a very hectic 24 hours, and many people I know personally just got back from the mountains after a few months. So the fact that such a beautiful turnout came tonight and braved the storm, you should all give yourselves a very big round of applause. Also, a very special thank you to Rabbi Ratban from the Irgun Torah. For those of you that don't know, Rabbi Ratban devotes 24/7 for shiurim in the community and very, very beautiful events. There's shiurim that go on every single day in the community that he organizes, and a very big yeshikoyach for all the good work that he does. We're gathered here tonight as an evening of inspiration for erev Chai Elul. The Rebbe mentions, our Rebbe mentions a lot in many letters and in many addresses that there's a letter from the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Frierdiker Rebbe points out that it's in the name of Ziknei HaChassidim. Usually when Rebbes quote important topics, they say it in the name of other Rebbes, or in the name of Tzaddikim, or in Svarim. But this is something that the Frierdiker Rebbe mentions in the name of Ziknei HaChassidim, that Chai Elul gives a chayis into the avodah of Chodesh Elul. That, just to make it clear, that Chai Elul is what gives a chayis. Chayis is a vitality, an excitement, a life into the avodah of Chodesh Elul. The Rebbe speaks about this letter of the Frierdiker Rebbe, that Chai Elul gives an excitement to the avodah of Chodesh Elul in many, many sichos, in many years. Specifically in the years Tafshin Yud Beis and Tafshin Yud Gimel, the Rebbe devoted a lot of the Farbrengen talking about this. And in many years, the Rebbe spoke about it on different levels. I wanted to discuss one of the levels and the ideas and approaches of what it means that Chai Elul gives a chayis into the avodah of Chodesh Elul on a topic that the Rebbe brought into a Farbrengen one year. We know that the avodah of Chodesh Elul, one of the important things of Chodesh Elul, is that we take account for the past year, and we have to do tshuva. Now, when it comes to doing tshuva, there are two main parts to doing tshuva. One of them is called guf hatshuva, the body of doing tshuva. And what that entails, that itself, the guf hatshuva, entails two parts. One part is charata al ha'avar, that you have regret on things that went wrong in the past. And then there's also kabbalah al ha'asid, that you're taking upon yourself to do things in a more appropriate and proper fashion and matter and fashion for the future. Now, a person that does guf hatshuva properly, I'm talking about a real account of everything that's going wrong in your life, in Torah, in mitzvahs, in ma'asim tovim, things that you're doing wrong between you and your friends and you and Hashem, and you see where you're really holding in your life, you very, very, very possibly might come to a level of depression, sadness. Obviously, we're talking about if you do a proper tshuva. That's called guf hatshuva. And then there's something called nefesh hatshuva, the soul of tshuva, which when you think about it, you're saying, by me doing tshuva, I am right now coming closer to Hashem, coming closer to my Creator, coming closer to the person that gives sustenance and life to me and to everything in existence. And you could come to tremendous level of simcha. So the Rebbe explains that Chai Elul, this idea of bringing chayis in to the avodah of Chodesh Elul, means that you're doing tshuva in a way that you have a chayis, that you have an excitement, and that you're able to bring excitement into your day-to-day activity. The Rebbe goes on to explain that what is proper tshuva. There's no psukim in Torah that say you do this and this, and you did tshuva. Torah umaisim toivim, by definition, Torah, doing Torah, and doing maisim toivim, and doing mitzvahs, by definition, are tshuva. And commemorating Chai Elul, which is the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, we should focus on the words of what they teach us in Chassidus. Chassidus and Chassidus Chabad that the Alter Rebbe gives us teaches us that they illuminated the world through Chassidus, and Chassidus explains to us how when you have to serve Hashem, the Alter Rebbe brings it in Tanya very clearly, it has to be done on a level of happiness. And the Alter Rebbe goes on to explain that whenever there are two people that are fighting, the person that has happiness will always be the one that's going to be victorious. When you're doing things with simcha, you're light, you feel light automatically, and you're able to get a lot more accomplished. And like the Alter Rebbe explains, and the saying of Chassidim goes, that there's no Aveda in being depressed, but being depressed, having atzvus, could bring you to the worst Avedas possible, chas v'shalom. And there's no mitzvah to be happy, but by being happy, you could reach the highest levels that no mitzvah could bring to you, that no mitzvah could bring you to. Now, me as a father, and all of us now standing in the times of the year where we are starting education and we are starting chinuch, want to bring up a detail that the Rebbe Rashab told the Frierdiker Rebbe when he was a child, and a little bit of a background. The Rebbe Rashab had a malamed for the Frierdiker Rebbe, which was the Rashpatz. And he gave his entire life and soul to educating the Rebbe Rashab. He's also the Frierdiker Rebbe, but he also was mechanech the Rebbe Rashab. He was mechanech two of the Rabbeim, actually, the Rashpatz. And the Rashpatz, the Rebbe Rashab told his wife at a certain point that I'm going to have to give up of my own to also be mechanechim. And he used to bring the Frierdiker Rebbe out of class. Sometimes take him out of class with permission and teach him on his own. So he brought the Rebbe Rashab, he brought the Frierdiker Rebbe out of his class on Chai Elul from the Rashpatz. He told him to put on Yom Tov clothing. And he revealed to the Frierdiker Rebbe that today is Chai Elul, and by uns is heint a Yom Tov. For us is now a Yom Tov. The Frierdiker people did not know this. We all know this. This is like common basics 101 in Chabad and in the world that Chai Elul is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, and it's also the day that the Baal Shem Tov revealed himself to the world and started teaching Chassidus to the world. But this was not known. The Frierdiker Rebbe revealed, and the Rebbe Rashab told this to the Frierdiker Rebbe as a child. And he told the Frierdiker Rebbe, there'll be a time when you will reveal this to the world. The Frierdiker Rebbe did not tell this to the world, and now that we have it, until 1943 here in America. The Frierdiker Rebbe gave over this secret that Chai Elul is this Yom Tov. But back to what I was saying, the Rebbe Rashab revealing this, that it's a Yom Tov, Chai Elul, to his son, and the Rebbe Rayatz revealing it in the name of Ziknei Chassidim for years was not known, and the reason as follows. Elul and Shuvah where was I holding? Yeah. The Frierdiker Rebbe revealing it to the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Frierdiker Rebbe revealing it at this time is because the time that we are living in now, the Frierdiker Rebbe was the worst time that the Yidden ever had, Begashmias, and the Holocaust and all the tragedies of World War II, etc., was a very, 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 very dark time physically. The Rebbe expanding on the avodah of Chodesh Elul, was in our generation, we have some of the hardest times, beruchnius. We have so much gashmius that itself is very, very challenging and very hard on us. But as the Alter Rebbe says in the Tanya, Mi shesameach hu yinatzeach. Whoever is going to do tshuva and ma'asim tovim and Yiddishkeit in a way of happiness, he's going to be the one that's going to be victorious. When it comes to educating our children, and especially now where we're starting the educational year, when it comes to educating our year, we have to remember how we have to educate our children in a level of simcha and in a level of chayis. There's a famous story of Rebbe Moshe Feinstein, who was one of the Gedolei Hader, the revered Paisik that lived in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, who the Rebbe was very close to. And he had a neighbor that came over to him, and he told him, I don't understand. I gave over my life in Meseres Nefesh. Every single week to keep Shabbos, I would lose my job on Friday. I had to look for a new job on Monday. And none of my children, Nachman al-Islam, today are Shomer Torah mitzvahs. My neighbor next door to me, same story, all his children are all Shomer Torah mitzvahs. Now Moshe Feinstein knew both families. And the Moshe Feinstein told him, tell me a little bit about how it went by you. He said, every week I would come home and I would say, so hard to be a Yid. It's so hard. I lost my job again, but the Rebbe gave us Shabbos. I have no choice. So let's all have Shabbos together. Then Moshe said, your neighbor came home and he said, we're so lucky. We're so lucky. We should be so proud that who cares about a job? I survived another week and we're going to get to spend another Shabbos together. We have to remember that whoever's going to be happy, whoever's going to have a chayis in their avodah, whoever's going to serve Hashem with happiness, that is how our children are going to be educated, and that is the way that they're going to be able to do Torah, mitzvahs, and ma'asim tovim, and go into the avodah of Chodesh Elul and Shuvah with excitement. If you think about it, Tezvav Elul, which was this week, and Chai Elul this week, Tezvav Elul was the day that Tomchei Tmimim was started. The yeshiva didn't start learning until Chai Elul. So there's a famous question, what was the yeshiva doing for 3 days if they weren't in the yeshiva learning? And the answer that's given is, they were in the kitchen partying. In order to educate our children, in order to go into the avodah of Chodesh Elul, we have to remember that it has to come from an avodah of simcha. Like the Alter Rebbe says, Mi shesameach hu yinatzeach. Torah ma'asim tovim. Educating your children that we are so lucky, we are so excited to be part of Torah mitzvahs. When children come from a family, when they see a family where the father is excited for Shiurei Torah, the father is excited to go to shul, the father is excited to be involved, the mother is excited to prepare for Shiurim, to take the children to Shiurim, to be involved in this atmosphere, then the Tezvav Elul becomes a Chai Elul. The education becomes an excitement. And this is the avodah we have to instill in all our children and in all our families, an avodah of happiness and excitement. What are the children going to remember? Are they going to remember a life of being on your shoulders and dancing Simchas Torah? Or are they going to remember an avodah of schlepping that Motzi Yom Kippur to do Kiddush Levana? We have to always be excited and happy in Torah and mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim, and to always be besimcha. A good Yom Tov.
Oh,
And everything that you need. And in this chus, in general, we should know that whatever we feel not so happy, and wherever we're happy, like Yehuda said before, it's the pen of the heart, the pen of the neshama. So it's always good to sing a nigun.
A big yeshar koach to Fiche Ben Shimon that put a lot of efforts in many, many ways out of the beautiful music.
Thank you all.
Thank you everyone for coming.
That's right.